Here's a list of how we make the ginger snap ice cream. Jeff's formulas, you have to watch the videos carefully to see what he's putting in. With my formulas, we have them at the website. There's 449 of them and growing. It's growing by 6 more today. And Christi and I are going to make ginger snap ice cream. This is a flavor. Christi has one of the 3-quart machines in her home and comes up with all sorts of new flavors. Paula had asked for something with ginger snap cookies. Christi came up with the formulation, and that's what we're going to do. So Christi, I'll start up with the measuring out the 3.5 quarts of mix and then turn it over to you. We're going to use the CB350, which is this machine. This is the largest selling machine in the world. Because it does everything the larger machines do. It has all the features and costs half as much as the larger machine. So it's really an incredible way to get into business. You take over, I'll measure the mix.
So as we all know, the shortages are quite crazy around, so we found some ginger snaps. I don't know exactly what these are going to taste like. I know what the ones tasted like that I bought. So whenever you go to make ingredients or make a recipe, sometimes if you can't find what you normally use, you just got to improvise. So for the ginger snap, we are going to do brown sugar, dairy, vanilla, and ginger snap cookies.
Like that. Right. Take the brown sugar.
How
much do you need of that?
Just 1 cup.
1 cup.
And then...
Do we have a knife in here? Yeah.
You're going to have to talk while I do the ginger snaps.
Oh, okay. So I'm over here just measuring out dark brown sugar, which we think is going to add some nice flavor to it. Let's see, 1.5. What'd you say? 1.5 cups, or 1 cup?
1 cup.
1 cup. Okay. Almost there. There we go. So we've got the mix, we've got the 1 cup of brown sugar. Christi's grinding up the cookies in a Ninja. Jeff told us about the Ninja blender. They are usually about $99 everywhere, and it's got some of the most dangerous blades on it you've ever seen. But there is no better blender on earth than a Ninja for grinding things up. Jeff taught me this. It was a great idea. When he saw me doing M&M ice cream, he said, I can do that better. And so I was throwing M&Ms into the ice cream, and it was great. It basically was vanilla ice cream with M&Ms in it. Jeff brought in a Ninja blender. He froze the M&Ms so that they wouldn't turn mushy. Go ahead. Sorry. We'll wait. Jeff froze the M&Ms, and we put them in the Ninja blender, and they turned into a powder, an M&M candy powder. Putting that into the machine, for every particle of dairy, we got a particle of M&M right next to it. So the flavor was fantastic. But then I had to now outdo Jeff. So I took another bag of M&Ms, also frozen so that the colors wouldn't bleed, and I threw them in as the ice cream was coming out. So now we had the fruit flavor. That's our fruit flavor here on this one is the ginger snap cookies. And also we could have fruit identity. If these cookies weren't so hard, we could also put pieces of cookies as it's coming out. You eat with your eyes as well as your taste buds. So your taste buds taste the flavor, but your eyes see the pieces. So I usually put half my flavor in the machine and half as it's coming out. In the case of Jeff here, and in the case of making ice cream, just like Jeff said, be careful of those bags. You don't want to drop them. The last thing he did was take ice cream out of here. We're not going to use this machine, but the next thing we would be doing is putting ice cream mix into here. Who sees what's wrong with that? Nobody? The gate's open. It's going to go all over the floor. Close the gate. Every time I walk past an Emery Thompson, I go like that, just to make sure the gate's closed. So, Christi, if you'll take over and put these together.
All right.
Oh, and we also have vanilla extract, the Lockhead vanilla. The Lockhead is an all-natural, and Jeff is wrong, it is not expensive. Expensive is $700, and this vanilla is about $120, and it's fantastic. And
So-
it's an all-natural.
So notice I'm not putting the container to the throat of the machine. I'm holding it up to create a long pour so I don't spill. And we're still going and going and going. Okay. Now, I'm kind of on Jeff's partial side. Steve likes to go ahead and start the freeze and then add all this stuff. I'm kind of with Jeff. But I don't sit there and yak as long as he does. I get it going. All right, let's start with the vanilla. And the brown sugar. And the ginger snaps. Oh boy, maybe I should have put this in a cup, huh?
You want me to find you something different?
I think Jeff just does a lot of it to, make love with his machine. I'm just here to make ice cream. I was up until almost 2 a.m. the other day, coming up with all kinds of different flavors. All right, here we go. Yes.
Just a quick question. So normally when you add sugars into the mix, other than making it sweet, does it have other effect?
It just adds more sweetness, I guess, to it. Brown sugar has molasses in it, so instead of just adding normal sugar to make it sweet, it's kind of like when you go to make banana bread. I like to add brown sugar versus regular sugar. It's just softer, has molasses, just for taste.
I was thinking like maybe you add sugar in there so it might change the texture a little bit for the ice cream. But
I don't think it does, because your dairy blend already has sugar in it. If you were to just taste the dairy blend by itself, it tastes like a sweet cream. And funny, Steve one time said that he knew a guy that accidentally forgot to add the vanilla when he was making his ice cream. So when it come out, it was sweet cream. So he called it sweet cream ice cream. But it's going to just make it a little bit more sweeter. The ginger snaps, everybody knows ginger has a little bit of a spiciness to it, so that'll help offset it.
I agree with Christi. It won't make any difference in ice cream, except make it a little sweeter. Where it does make a difference, and you might be thinking about, is Italian ice. Italian ice, cream ice, sorbet, sorbetto, Italian water ice are all the same, basically same product. Sugar and water, and the higher the sugar content, the smoother the product. So a Philadelphia water ice is smoother than a New York Italian ice, which is smoother than a granita sold in an all-Italian neighborhood in lower Brooklyn. So the sugar content there controls the smoothness. But in ice cream, you're getting all your smoothness and texture from the fat content. You go to a higher fat content, you're going to get an even smoother product. But I doubt you can tell the difference. This is just so smooth and creamy as it is. And I don't really want to go to higher fat content. Yes?
when you put the mix
Can you
in
speak
there,
up? I got the machine behind me.
when you put the mix in there, do you add other cream, other stuff in there, like other cream to make it more smoother, or you just need the mix itself is good enough?
No, what makes the product smooth is the basic raw ingredients. The blend, the dairy blend, is milk, cream, powdered skim milk, and sugar. That's your blend, and that's inherently smooth and creamy. If you put dairy blend and water next to each other, water is not smooth compared to, or you could almost call it greasy. You don't want to overdo it. People who are doing 18% and higher fat content are just wasting their time and their money, and they probably don't even know the secret that as the fat content goes up, you need more flavor, because otherwise all you're tasting is fat. And that's not what people want. We're trying to make an ice cream that is refreshing, that is so good and leaves you feeling so good, not full and heavy like Haagen-Dazs, a company I helped put in business. A great ice cream, but you pick at it a little bit at a time, a spoonful this afternoon, a little bit at dinner, a little bit at 11 o'clock at night. Don't tell Paula. But we want to make something that you eat it, and it's so good you want to go back and get a second one. It's a balance. Dairy, air, and flavor. And of the three, hands down, flavor's the most important.
You can add, like cream of coconut to a recipe if you want to, use cream of coconut, but not to help substitute for a dairy. That's the whole purpose of coconut. It's dairy free. I've used cream of coconut to make an Italian ice, which would make it more of a cream ice. And that was last class. That was actually really good. It had crushed pineapples, cream of coconut, Malibu rum, and sugar and water. And that was a really, really good Malibu cream ice. You can also do, I think Jeff has done dulce de leche, and then he had put in, condensed milk. You can do that, or the actual dulce de leche, the little can. Yeah, that stuff's good. Yes.
So for condensed milk, do you just like dump it into from the can, or is there a certain way to like add water to it and then put it in, or?
It's just a recipe preference, So if you want to dump it in there, go for it. If you want to mix it with water, you can do that as well. If you want to use there you go.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to actually talk about Mammy's Gelato or a dairy-free mix. You can use that as a substitute.
This is a secret ingredient. You're going to see a lot of recipes, home recipes in House and Garden and Ladies Home Journal and place like that. And these are not ice cream makers. These are bakers who think they know ice cream. Making ice cream is not exotic. It's not a science. It's not even an art. It's just plain fun. But this is what I call the secret ingredient. It says non-fat dried milk, and this is powdered skim milk. We keep this around here in Florida in our hurricane closets, because if the power's out for a week and you want to have some milk in your coffee, we use this. But this is technically say 30% fat with all the fat removed, and what you're left with is the good stuff. So this is only 0 or 1% fat, but all the good stuff that was in the cream at 30% is still in here. So that's a little secret ingredient that the dairies know about and they put in. And in my formula, that if I was to use it, too much work, it would also have this in it. Very simple.
Any other questions? No, just one ice cream.
What are you saying that does to it? When you're saying it's a secret ingredient, what's it help with?
It's called, the technical term in dairy speak is milk solids, not fat. So the milk solids, the stuff that make milk, is all in that powder, but the fat isn't. It's one of the rare cases where you can take all the fat out of a product and it's still the same. If celery was a fattening product, we could take all the fat out and then you'd be left with celery. So that's what that does. Anyone else? Okay.
We're getting pretty close. Probably another minute or two. I'll show, since it's still pretty thin, for those that don't know, like Jeff was doing on his, it was cutting off pretty good and clean. This is what he's talking about. See how it's very soupy? It's got a couple more minutes before it's going to be ready. And his, when he did his, it's what we call a cutoff check. If you open and close it, it cuts it off and it just plops right down. Have anything to add, Jeff?
What?
Have anything to add?
No.
How's your new store going?
Fine.
Fine.
Emery Thompson has, what is the latest count? you have the serial numbers.
Oh, 38,572.
38,572 customers in 141 countries, I think it is, 142 countries, somewhere in there. And we have many, many more than that who tune in and watch our videos. We're quite prolific at making videos. And I always tell people that these formulas, it's really mathematical. In order for something to taste like ice cream, it has to have a certain amount of chocolate chips in it. It has to have a certain amount of mint in it. And that's what we teach you here, and that's what my formulas at emerythompson.com do. But then you take that and you make it your own. You say, well, you know, Steve doesn't put enough mint in, or I would like a different brand. Jeff uses a different brand of chocolate chip than I do. He uses Ghirardelli, which is terrific, really terrific. And so those are where the secret formulas come in, is you take a basic mathematical formula and then make it your own, so that all those 38,000 customers all make different ice cream from me. There's subtle differences, granted, but they are different. I compare it to baking a cake. I don't know how to bake. I mean, I can barely find the oven. But if you told me today I have to make a lemon birthday cake, I would go get something like The Joy of Cooking, and I would read it and it would say, put this much flour, water, sugar, lemon, and it will become a pretty good lemon birthday cake. If I add more flour, it's just going to be dry. If I add more water, it's going to be soupy. If I add more lemon, well, I really like lemon, so maybe I will add more lemon. So to me, making ice cream is just really simple mathematics. You can look at any formula. You can say, okay, if I'm using dry goods in the bigger machine, I like to use a quart of dry goods, so a quart of pecans. You might say a quart and a half. It's incredibly easy. It's going to be harder to find a tile guy to put down the floor than it is to make ice cream. How you doing? I know you're doing good. But how's the ice cream doing?
I'm doing good, Joey.
Okay.
Still got a couple minutes.
All right.
The more sugar you add, the longer it's going to take to freeze. And that's just science. So a lot of customers will ask, well, how long does it take for lemon ice to freeze? Well, that could take you 9 minutes. Or they'll ask, well, how much does Italian ice take in general? I said, well, it depends. Doing lemon ice, you're looking about 9 minutes. If you do orange Italian ice, which is orange juice and sugar, you're looking about 13 minutes, because it's orange juice is sugar and then you're adding sugar. So it's sugar and sugar. You know, cookies had sugar, brown sugar was added, plus the dairy mix has sugar. So we just added a lot of sugar, so your freeze time is going to be a lot higher than normal, like your traditional vanilla. Yes? That's okay. Probably another minute.
So what about if you leave it extra, let's say extra 5 to 10 minutes? Is it going to be more hard or is it going to be less?
If you freeze it too long, you're going to freeze your machine up. And that's not good. You'll have to turn it off, and then you're going to let it sit and thaw out its own self. And you pretty much kind of almost wasted a whole batch of ice cream. And the machine is still freezing. So if you go to check it and you think it needs 30 more seconds, just go ahead and turn off your freezer, because it's still going to freeze for probably another 30 seconds to a minute after you shut it off anyways, because it's so cold. I'm going to call it good. This is about Jeff's style, how he likes to go ahead and pull his. So I'm going to shut this off.
See how fast that comes out? Every other machine you'll see on the market, any videos, it'll take them about 2 minutes to get the ice cream out. In that 2 minutes, imagine you're baking my birthday cake and I leave it in the oven. I take 2 minutes to get it out of the oven. That is not the same cake I wanted. And that's what happens with the other machines. They are so slow to discharge that the product is inconsistent from the front of the machine to the back. Here, we are so incredibly fast, it's straight consistency. What are you scooping with these?
I don't have anything. I'll get it, so that way Jeff can keep going.
All right. We think you'll like this.
You can also use this if it's easier.
I'll get it, Steve.
Okay.
I was going to use it.
Here you go.
Thanks. You go help Jeff. I got this.
Steve, I wanted to ask, it's kind of an off question, but if you're going to ship to another country, say like Africa, what does the delivery time normally take?
It's, well, anything going outside the United States or Canada, we ship by air freight. We do not want our machines that we have spent 12 weeks building to be damaged in shipment. I mean, it's not like something from China where it costs them, they charge you, $20,000 and it costs them $800 to make it. These machines are all handmade, made in the USA, all American parts. We're going to protect it. We cost less than anybody else because you're not going through a dealer. So some of that we attribute to the shipping. We insist on shipping air freight. So you'll have it in 4 days. And that's pretty darn good, because if you go by, before COVID, if you went by boat, you'd be there to Africa in a month and a half. Yeah. Now, you're looking at 6 months. There are thousands. They say there may be 100,000 containers sitting in ports. I know there's at least 400 of them off the port of New York, Elizabeth, New Jersey, waiting to be unloaded. So here you are spending all this money for your store, and everything's waiting on the machine, and it's stuck on a boat a quarter of a mile out into the ocean. We send it by UPS Global Air Freight. They've got a fancy new name, but it's their air freight division. And it'll be there in 4 days. It'll be treated like luggage, big piece of luggage. It'll be full wood export box crated. Nothing's going to happen to it, and it's going to be handled with kid gloves. And you'll pay maybe a third more than you would with boat shipping, but we know you'll get it, and it'll be on time, and it'll be operable. That's important. People tend to go cheap. It's unbelievable to me that they'll spend $28,000 on a machine, and then they say, "Oh, we want to handle the shipping because cheap Fred out of Texas is going to insure it, not for the cost of a machine, but for 700 pounds of toilet paper." So if the truck crashes, you're going to get paid back, not $30,000. You're going to get paid back for $700, 700 pounds of toilet paper, which is going to be about $200.
I got one more question on that. So would we have to know what the wiring is for that particular country that we're going in, or do you already?
No, we already know, but we're going to discuss it with you, and we're going to have you double check. Which country are you talking about?
Both Uganda and also Kenya.
Okay, Uganda and Kenya are both 380 volt, 3-phase, 50 hertz. Now, people will say, yeah, but your American machines run on 220. That's true. These two machines can run on 220. 220 over in Europe is different. We call it 110 when we plug in a blender. Right. Over in Europe and Africa, it's 220 volt when you plug in a blender. So it's the same designation, but it's a whole different power. So your power for heavy machinery, like the 12 and the 24 and the 44, is 380, 400, or 440. Those two countries happen to be 380. I am a wealth of useless information. I remember everything I hear. What was your name?
That's funny because whenever I tell you something, he goes, "It's useless." I'm like, "But it's fun." He's like, "Who cares?" Best boss ever, guys. Seriously.
I don't know about that.
I do.
Anybody? Any other? How do you like it? Well, no. I'm sorry. We don't ask the question anymore. How do you like it? Because it's free. We know you love it. Tell us what you would do differently on this product. Who would add more of something? Add less?
I think it's great.
Whoa! And Jeff doesn't like anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it tastes like key lime.
Oh, he's an idiot. What I think, the little
Only you can
crunchy
get away
parts,
with it.
I know.
the little crunchy things are perfect in there.
Oh, we didn't put any crunchies in. That must
No,
be
no,
those cockroaches.
no, taste it. Right.
It's the ginger.
I know.
Yeah.
Perfect. I
Good.
like it. I
This
think
is
it's
one of
good.
the flavors I was up until 1:30 and almost 2 in the morning
So you
doing.
make your own recipe at home, or you take home?
Yep, I eyeball everything, and then I hope I remember to write it down.
Unlike me, I have a life. I went to bed at 10:30. I don't worry about this stuff.
Have you noticed, like in different regions, or maybe different states, towns, like, let's say, like you said, they had more mint, maybe certain areas might seem to take to having more mint. Did you find like different, areas maybe had crave different flavors? a particular flavor more than another?
Yes, there are not a lot of them. Pretty much everybody likes the flavor, flavors that you're selling. But I know that up in the Michigan area, there's something called Swedish fish, which is a very popular flavor. I've yet to make it because I can't find anybody who can define it for me. But everybody says, "Oh, have you tried Swedish fish?" I go, "Oh, no." Does it taste fishy? So there are some differences. But Jeff and I were talking about this before you all came in. Ice cream parlors used to use what we call the visual dipping cabinet. The cabinet where you can see all the flavors.
What do you mean used to?
The Italians still do that. We don't agree with that, Jeff and I. We have the ice cream. He's using one method, but I'm using a dipping cabinet. But the point is, our signs tell you what flavors there are. Because I contend that before I walk into Jeff's store, I already know I want his mint chip. I love his mint chip. He makes better mint chip than anybody on earth. And that's what I want. But I walk into the store and I'm looking around and I see all these 30, 40 different flavors. Big mistake. We're down to about 12 flavors now. I see all these flavors and I'm confused. And I go, maybe I want that one. Maybe I want that one. Meanwhile, the line is a bunch of New Yorkers like me, and they're going, "Hey, move it, buddy." So I'm still deciding. And then I go, "Oh, give me my mint chip." I already knew what I wanted. We do a lot less flavors now because we do more of flavor of the week. It's wonderful social media advertising, which you can ask Christi about. She's our expert on that. But to be able to advertise on a Thursday night that the flavor of the week is going to be this. So you've got the 12 most popular. You take one of them out and put in your flavor of the week. And it's fantastic. There's an old adage about salesmen, which I am. I own the company, but my tax return says salesman. We are always looking for a reason to come back and see you. We would love it to be able to walk in and say, "Hey, I've got this newfangled spatula. You just got to have one." So having the flavor of the week brings people back in. It says, they have something different this week. We've got a reason to go to Thompson's old-fashioned ice cream because we want to try the bubblegum licorice ice cream. Ugh.
Or the pickled and bacon Italian ice. We did that. That was really good.
No, we didn't do that. You did that.
No. That was very good. We did not have a complaint but you.
I didn't do it.
That's because you're...
The only thing that saved it is her husband made the most incredibly good flat bacon. And we said, well, we were going to eat it for a BLT after lunch, but we said, well, stick it in the ice cream. So Christi stuck bacon in. And so when you asked everybody, how was the pickle Italian ice, they go, man, that bacon was great. How was the ice? Man, that bacon was great.
He's full of it. So they were sitting there with the bacon strip, and they were using it as a spoon to eat the pickle Italian ice. Like Steve said, you got a new flavor of the month, a new flavor of the week. Nobody's got to like your pickle Italian ice. Just make it, stick a sign by the door. People are going to look at it. Okay. They come in, give them a little sample. It got them in the door. Jeff's against samples. Steve's against samples. I think in that kind of exception would be something fun just to get your people to come into the door. They see the sign. It's different. It's unique. And, of course, make sure you have your vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry on there, too.